a well-known orator, an inspired writer, a prominent actor, a social activist, a recognized leader.
You are staying the course. You will fall, but you'll get up. You fall, but you'll get up.
Peter de Almeida.
Hi, Buan. Hi, Buan.
We very much appreciate your time and presence for this discussion.
It's a pleasure.
So, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very excited to talk to the two of you and to share some thoughts with your group. So, thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
So, in the starting of today's discussion, we would like to ask you a very simple question. You, as a famous business icon, a well-known orator, a prominent actor, director, social icon, and actually having known as a diversified character, how would you describe yourself?
Well, I don't know whether I should try to describe myself because I mean it's for other people to describe me. How did I? In fact, I myself don't know how I got to where I came to because I never planned it like that. I never set out to be, a business leader or any of these things because I was born in a family of 11 children. I was the youngest. My father was 40 when he married my mother who was 20 year gap. So when I was born he was 60 and now at 62 last year I became a grandfather. So when I am becoming a grandfather, my father was still becoming a father. So big gap. Then he died suddenly when I was 4 years old. In our family at that time, elder sister was married. So there were 10 children, my mother 11, grandmother 12, and my father had bought 2 relatives also because their father had abandoned them. 14 people in the house, no income. So difficult times. But that's where I think I must have learned something from my mother because she was strong. She was very clear. She decided that she has to now provide leadership. And she thought now 14 people had to protect them. And I asked her later on, so were you not frightened when this happened? Then she said, no, I was not too worried because I knew that God will provide. God will, because faith. So she anchored herself on one solid foundation, faith. That was her foundation. Then purpose. Very clear, my long-term purpose is to hold this family together till they can start going to work and all that. Because I am 4. So she had a very clear idea of the purpose. Then long-term. She knew this is not a short-term game. I have to be till this fellow, the youngest fellow has to get to at least 19, 20. So she knows now this is a long-term game. And finally, sacrifice. She had to let go of things she would have liked to have done. So I think that's where I may have unconsciously learnt about leadership. When I was 4, I'm not thinking, now she's a leader, I'm writing down notes like your MBA, but just learning, maybe subconsciously, I must have picked these up. And diversity is because my father, when he died, in a way, I'm thinking, if my father was alive, I wouldn't be doing this interview because he was a very conservative Catholic and traditional. And if he says something, that is the truth. Now, for example, in the Bible, they said the world was created in 7 days. So, if I asked him what the whole universe, cosmos, everything created in 7 days, he says yes. Why? Because the Bible says. Now, shut up and don't argue. You have to follow. So, I think my mind was free without having all these restrictions. And because large family, my mother, not like your generation, now you all had parent-teachers meetings, no? Mother comes, father comes. We didn't have any of that. So we grew up freely. So, a lot of fun in school, no shishyatya, scholarship exam, nothing. So we took part in activities. So acting, singing. From the small days, I used to sing and act. So I think that's where I must have let myself go, no pressure. So sports, this, that, drama, elocution, so we just did everything and then built those skills, and that's what I think brought me to where I am. But another person was an influence on my life is a person called Bala Tampo. He was a trade unionist and a real socialist, not like these people who call themselves socialists today. I came under his influence when I was 15 years old. He was a well-read man, brilliant criminal lawyer. He knew classics, music, psychology. So he opened another whole chapter in my life. And that's where I became socially conscious about poverty, exploitation, and politics and all that. That I learned with him. So I think combination of my free thinking spirit and this kind of influence to be exposed to this kind of psychology and all that at that time, and socialism and Marxism and all that, I think that also helped me to be the kind of character I am. So long answer, no?
It's really interesting. Having such an interesting background, how did you become a business leader?
Interesting. Now I never set out to be a business leader. For example, you all are wanting to be business leaders, otherwise you won't do MBA, no? Masters, Business Administration, right? So now I didn't have an MBA. Interestingly, I didn't even get through my A-levels. Not because I was a dumbass, but because, you know, when they were teaching, I used to ask questions because I'm trying to understand what's happening. So physics, there's a subject called quantum physics. So I'm asking, there are two famous scientists called Max Planck and Niels Bohr, for those of you who have done physics. So I'm asking the master. That fellow said, Peter, in Sinhalese he said, I said, oya pandita prashna hala tamase sure ekatama fail wena. Ara miniya kiwwa wage hariyata hari mම fail wuna. So I was more interested in learning about the subject than, you know, answering papers. So I gave up. I gave up studying for my A-levels. So no A-levels, no business, no technology. I didn't go to IT school. So I also asked myself, how is it that I got to where I am? But I think I had two qualities, I think, that are very helpful to be a leader. One is curiosity. I'm curious. We say kutuhale in Sinhala. Curiosity. So I had that. I had to always find out more and more and more and more and more. Then second was problem solving. I used to always like to solve a problem, you know, always. And anyway, I think from the small age, I don't know about business leader, but I always took on a leadership role. Even in school, I remember grade 2, grade 3. I used to organize, we had an interval, no? We had school starts at 7:30, finishes at 3:30, we have 1 hour lunch break. So we quickly will eat and then play. That when we come to class, second half, all brown, the white. So then I used to organize games. I am the one who, I don't know, somehow I found myself playing a leadership role. I organized boxing matches and movies, and we had to make like films. Like the cameraman, boru cameraman, and sound. It was great fun. So I don't know, I somehow found myself, maybe because I was free thinking and my mother didn't suppress me. So I think those two qualities and a little creativity, because I did drama and all when I was young, singing and all that. So I think that, curiosity, creativity, problem solving, those three helped me, I think, to be where I am. And that is my problem today. Schools are killing these qualities. They don't let children ask questions. Panditya vendipa. Katavagana man kiyaninda karapa. So you see. And they are killing this. They are just telling children to memorize katapadam, and memorize and reproduce the answer at a paper, at an exam. So I'm very worried about our future generation. So parents also know, from the time you're small, they are telling me, Now I'm telling my grandson, I'm telling my daughter, she's also like me, try to bring up your children without using the words don't and no. Don't do this. No. So, but without that, so you see, then, so yeah, those are the qualities I think that brought me to where I am.
So, with having that three interesting qualities, When we move into the leadership role in the corporate world, where you cope up with many people and situations, would you explain what are the leadership philosophies you draw as your inspirations, and how would you apply these in real life?
Okay, now when you were asking this question, I remembered for the previous question, I wanted to tell you something. One other quality is that to be a business leader, you asked me the journey. The other thing is, and I'll come back to your question in a minute, the other thing is you have to put everything into what you're doing. You see, even if you're doing a small thing, when I was a bank clerk, I started, but I put 100% into that job. I didn't think, no, I am a bank clerk, no. So I learned about banking and all that, so you have to give 100%. But the thing I want to tell you, the two of you, is there is luck also. My friend, he died unfortunately, my childhood friend, he started East-West Information Systems. Now it's purely by luck that he started that. And it's luck that he and I were friends. Others are a banker, no? So then something happened, then bank union also, I was involved in the bank union, trade union. Then something happened there, then I got disillusioned. That also a chance. Others had to be a banker today. So luck, and then he started the company, I happened to go there, I knew nothing about IT. You see, because there are lots of people like you and me, but sometimes they don't get that luck. We think that we are great fellows, no, but if luck didn't play its part, we won't be. So in fact, there's lots of books written on the luck. So anyway, so that's that. So philosophy, about leadership philosophy. So I have never read up and followed a philosophy. I've learned along the way, like I said, starting with my mother's and Balatampo, trade union leadership, all that. So I have kind of, along the way I've learned it, I'm still learning. Even last year I learned new things about leadership. Even preparing for this talk, I learned new things. Because you see, now I'm leading a social organization, very different. There are some things that are common, but there are different things also. But leadership, my simple thing is, keep it very simple. What does a leader do? A leader has to inspire people. You see, uddipana karna. In Sinhalese you say, inspire. That's the difference between leaders and managers. True leaders come and inspire. They don't come and tell you, Araka karanna, meka karanna, I say report, then no, give us a report. No. They come to work and they inspire people. So to inspire, what must you do? A leader must show the way. Very simple, no? Because you have leader, must have followers. And the followers must follow you freely. They must not follow because some people, managers, they'll say, Mode aka, the idiot, but because he's my manager, I have to follow him. But you have no respect for him. You are not following freely because he will ruin your promotion. You have economic control over you, or hierarchical control, managerial control. They are not true followers. So to be a true leader, you must have true followers. People are following you freely without compulsion. So to do that, you have to inspire and show the way. Come, I can show the way. I think that's the fundamental qualities I look at as a philosophy, if you call, basic idea of a leader.
As you said, leader is a person who inspires people and who brings out another leader.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, what are your strategies in building a leadership ladder in an organization to develop effective skills and competencies?
That's a great question, because you see, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. The role of a leader, in a way, is to create more leaders. Otherwise, you're a one-man show, like some of our politicians. They're frightened. Managers are afraid because they'll think, if this fellow comes up, then I feel threatened. But a leader is confident. It doesn't feel like that. So actually, you're absolutely right. A leader's role is to create more leaders, not to live and die, and when he goes, no one is there. So, good point. So how do we do this? Firstly, you give them the space. So you have a culture. In our company at Enable, and wherever I work, we create a culture of openness, where people are allowed to be themselves and challenge. Give them responsibility, give them roles to play. Don't constantly, after you tell them do that, Don't every 10 minutes ask him, how are you doing, how are you doing, no. Give them a role, and very important, you tell them why you ask them to do something, not what you want them to do. Again, difference between managers and leaders. This is what I want you to do. No, this is why I'm asking you to do what I'm. So once you start doing things like that, give them the space to fail if they fail. So you're the safety net. You say, okay, do this. Now the small children, they run. Okay, but you're letting them, but you're there. If there's some problem, you are a safety net. So you give them that. You're the supporting. So they fail, but they've learned from that. So when you have an open culture, we can talk about all these things and create a space for them to emerge. So with that, and challenge you. So the moment they know they can challenge me, they know people under them can challenge them. So I think that's the simple way in which we, just give them the space. Of course, we also give them exposure, formal training sometimes, so that, they also learn. Academically also they learn. So it's a combination. On the job, academic, the space is there. I can fail, but I will learn from it. So, after I left Enable, or just before I left even, now we had myself and 12 other people founded Enable. Only 2 have remained at Enable. All the others have gone and started businesses. Some are competitive business. And even these 2, they have come to the top now. Now they are playing the role I played. So you see, so many leaders we created only by doing what I just described. Giving them the opportunity, giving them the space to fail, open culture. So those are the things that have helped us.
So next, when highlighting that safety net, as you told, in the current VUCA world, which is actually highly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, would you think that the business leaders in the local context are really doing what they have to do as leaders?
Yes, that's also a great question. So before I come to that, I will also talk a little, which I missed out in the previous question, about the qualities of leaders that I missed out on, having said that open culture. So what is it that we try to, what are the qualities, the key attributes of a leader? I think for me it's 3 things. One is a clear purpose. So everybody must have a purpose, what we call paramartha. Not these vision, mission statements that companies write on a board and put it all over. Nobody knows and nobody follows it. And vision, mission, people don't even know the difference between what is a mission, waste of time. We say purpose. Now at Enable, our purpose was to connect people and things, because now even devices can talk to each other, these cameras can talk to each other. Connecting people and things with insights. We create connecting people and things with insights to create efficient and intelligent world. Now, that's our purpose. So everybody is aligned to that purpose. So a leader must have a purpose, paramartha. That's one. Secondly, this new word I learned because somebody told us to give me a talk, grit. I don't know the singular word. Grit means you are staying the course. You will fall, but you will get up. You fall, but you will get up. And it's slightly long term. It's not short term. Now my mother had grit. So many times things went wrong when she looked hopeless. But she said, can do. And the third most important quality in a leader, humility. You must be humble. If you are not humble, you don't learn. You think I know it all. And to be really humble, you have to go to every level of your organization to learn from them. You see? So those 3 qualities are the qualities. Now coming to your question, why do managers fail, leaders fail in a crisis? Precisely because they are not leaders. They are managers. Leaders, if they are real leaders, they will fail, but they won't fail in the way that we are seeing today. That's where I bring out this question. Leadership is needed mostly in a crisis, no? Okay, everything is going well. If you come to work and there are enough people waiting to buy your stuff, there's nothing to worry, you produce, you distribute, there's no leadership. Leadership is needed when people have lost their way, when they're in a difficult situation. So that's the point. Most of our leaders are not in fact leaders, they are not showing the way, they are not inspiring, they are managers, they are giving orders. They are the ones who fail. Because by definition, a leader is someone who is there during a time of a crisis. You get the point? So that's first thing. So how do you deal? So firstly, the leader in a difficult situation, say now this pandemic type situation, you have to first get a hold of yourself. To see now, if you are shaking and wobbling and panicking, then everybody will panic. You have to take hold of yourself. Okay, I am still here. Then you collect the team around you. Get them, now sometimes when you go in difficult situation, we ask them, okay, then ogolo innavane metan. You all are here, no? Many people have died. Many people, the businesses are wiped out. But we are still here, the companies, they are getting half month salary, whatever, we are here. So you get the team together, I am here, you are here. Then, immediately you lower some of your short-term expectations. You say, okay, we have set ourselves a big profit number for the next year, you say, okay, we'll reduce that. Then nobody is under pressure. Then you lower the expectation. But the most important thing, where most leaders, even leaders fail is, in a crisis, they are not looking for new opportunities. Look at the businesses that have come up during the COVID crisis. How many small businesses to supply items? So many people are making food, kitul pani and this and that and all kinds of. So you see, and who has made the most amount of money from this crisis globally? Amazon. They have become, Jeff Bezos has become increased his net worth by about $27 billion, but cutting salaries from his staff. Now that is where poor leadership. You sacrifice your fellows so that I make money. So look for opportunities, because even though the situation looks very dark, if you say, is there an opportunity here? That's how even the apparel industry, they realize we can produce PPE, personal protection equipment, masks, clothes, this, that and all that. Now, I gave a talk at MAS recently. There are a lot of people are wearing lounge wear, because they are at home. So they have to wear comfortable clothes. So huge market growth for lounge wear. Comfortable, like pajamas, not pajamas, because they are going on Zoom call and all that. You see, they are at home, completely different, they don't have those clothes. So you see, look for opportunities. That's where a lot of the leaders fail in a crisis. They are so caught up in the crisis, their goals are the same. Take large multinationals, we still have to make these profits. No, profit you cut down. And counterintuitive, invest. Very few leaders will take that. They will not go to their board and say, you know what, you're cutting back, you're being a fool. This is going to turn, we see opportunities. I'm coming to you and saying, invest in this. That kind of leaders you don't find. They are so caught up in the crisis and this and that and short-term profits, not creating value. So you see, that's where I think they need to change the way they look at a crisis.
So, as a real practitioner, as you said with these key highlights, as a leader, you might have come across many glass ceilings when you cope up with the diverse workforce. So, how did you actually overcome productively these diverse blood when you go as a team, or especially as a leader when you lead the others? As you said, especially in the inspiration.
Right. Now, interesting, you said, how do you overcome diversity, right? Just the opposite. We welcome diversity. Overcome means diversity is a problem, no? Now, diversity is a problem, my God. Now, how do you overcome this? So, you don't overcome an opportunity, no, you welcome. So, for us, diversity is the norm. Although lots of books are written about diversity and all that, for me, diversity was, for the greater part of my life, diversity was the norm. That's because the society is diverse, no? So if your organization, that is why some of the companies, they don't have that. Why now all men on the board? Some from the same college also. Royal College or Anand or this or that, or same bloody set of fellows, same mindset, right? So then the board meeting and this and that, and so no new ideas come, particularly the large multinationals who are in the top 10, even banks and all that, think highly of themselves. Same fellows go round and round, they're in this board, they're in that board. So that was never the case in our company, and young blood. So we welcome diversity. That's the point I want to make. Because your company is a reflection of society. So there are women. Unfortunately, in the sales team, we didn't have enough women. But now I think at Enable, during the time I was leaving also, so we could have put a little more focus in ensuring that we had even a quota. That we didn't do. We should have had a quota, said nothing doing. Our sales team, but in the previous company when I was in Millennium IT, about 50% were women, and very capable women. Now we didn't do that very well, but so that's a shortcoming. We should have had they insisted, nothing doing, we need to have women. But we have different languages, so I'll come to that later. But the point is, diversity was welcome.
As you explained, real leaders welcome opportunities and welcome the changes in the external environment. So internally, inside the organization, we have a diverse employee culture with different ethnic groups, different backgrounds, different religions, and different experience and knowledge levels.
That's right.
So in your organization, how did you manage this diversity, and what were your strategies to align them towards the purpose of this organization?
Right. So firstly, aligning with organization, whoever came, it didn't matter to us whether they were women, different skills. The purpose was clear. And the way we drive purpose is we have lots of open discussions. So firstly, the first thing we did was open culture, like I said earlier. Culture is open. So everybody can come, express their opinions. No coming and punching the time that they came and left, and none of that. They come when they come, they work, because there's work to be done. And we know if somebody is not working, we don't, some people punch the card at 8:30, go at 5, inside that 8 hours they are doing nothing. So open culture. And secondly, we had very vigorous, open, robust meetings, discussions, lots of discussion groups. When there's a problem, we'll quickly say, come, we don't write mail. Now in some companies, that fellow sitting 10 feet away from you, write a mail. You didn't do this. Go talk to him, man. So, so we'll say, when if somebody comes to my room, I'll say, okay, come, 3 of you, come, let's. And generally we go out to have a cup of tea. Sometimes, right, okay, let's go Dilma Tea Lounge or whatever. Sometimes we go to the Dilma Tea Lounge in Fort about 3 times a day, and I became a big customer of theirs also. Just go have a cup of tea and we chat, talk about it. So that was that. Then we have an employee forum every quarter, completely transparent. Share our profits, our margins, margin percentage, bank loans, overdrafts, everything is shared. So they know there's a problem, they are the first to know it. Every quarter we share our numbers. No, and if it's a difficult situation, we say, you know what, it's a difficult situation. At one time we had almost ₹1 billion in debt and work in progress. We shared that. Because we say, okay, that is the problem, but here are the opportunities. Now they know how much work they need to put in to cover that gap. And they know the rewards also. Our bonus schemes and all are completely transparent. Everybody knows, they could even know my salary. So transparency is the other thing. So open culture, transparent, and different criticism. We welcomed. So that was the greatest diversity. Diversity of opinions, not gender and all that you said. We welcomed diverse opinions. We encouraged questions. We would not stop a meeting unless there was at least 3 or 4 questions. So we are encouraging diverse ideas to emerge proactively. You are saying diverse ideas emerging, how do I control and manage it? No, opposite. We are encouraging. That was the real diversity, clash of ideas. That's how we got them all aligned with that purpose. And every year we share the goals, and we are giving them constant update where we are. And now, I used to have a discussion with my group CEO, One time he said, Peter, this is the worst performance I've seen. He's the group CEO of HEMA. He's the worst, Sudha, Irishman. He said, it's the worst performance I've seen since I took over as the CEO. Next morning I called a meeting. 160 people, about 150 came. I put up this quotation. This is the worst performance I've seen as the CEO. They thought I'm saying it. Then I clicked. It comes Stephen Enderby, CEO of Group CEO of HEMAS. I said, this is what he's saying. Next morning, and I said, you know what? He's right. So then I put up the numbers to show how bad the situation is and that he's correct. Then we show, okay, now here's what we can. And one thing I said was, I said Sri Lanka Telecom was a big customer. I said, how many people in this room have some connection with this customer? About 40 people had connection. I said, now look around, raise their hands. I said, look around. So you don't think just because you're the salesperson and you're the account manager, what only you all are. 40 people in that organization had some way of touching SLT as a customer. I said, this is what we have. And these are diverse people, not the sales team and management. And there's a delivery, there's logistics. You see, then we bring them to that common goal, not these hierarchical levels.
As you explained, you welcome this diversification in opinions in your organization. As a leader, in local and global context, what are the challenges that you have faced? Because as we know, you were the head of Sun
Service in India, yes. SAARC region, for the SAARC region, yes.
You were the head of Sun Service
Yes.
in SAARC region
Yes.
some time ago.
Yes, yes.
So, can you share your knowledge in global context also? What were the challenges that you faced in building your competencies?
Yeah, that was a very interesting stage of my life, because you see, once you go to India and head a service business, and Sun was a company that was very, very popular globally, Sun Microsystems. They changed computing, that's a different story. But so India was very open to that kind of technology, Unix technology. So when I went there, firstly you see all the people whom you're dealing with, they know this fellow is from Sri Lanka. So you have to make a connection, no? You have to show them, I bring some value to you. So you first learn the cultural differences, very important, particularly globally. Cultural differences are very, very, very sensitive. That's where some of the other guys who came from Singapore, they used to come to India and talk to their staff as if though they are coming from a superior place, you know. That didn't work. They all had to go. So I realized that there is a culture, but I can understand that culture. We are very close to, we come from that Indian culture, no? So it's not a big deal, but you'll be sensitive. So you're a little humble. You're saying, so I will make a connection with my customers. So I show that I can bring some value to you. Whether I'm Indian or Sri Lankan, that's not the point. I'm Peter D. Almeida, and the company that I'm working, I can bring some value. So you build that relationship with cultural sensitivity and not pushing yourself as if I have come and talked down to them. I've come here to do a job, and you be a little humble, then they support you. So that's the one thing I learned, and not only at Sun Service, because now the multinational companies I worked for, most of them were, their regional guys they have dealt with Chinese, Japanese, European, American, Australian, then Malaysian. You see, because you have to strike a personal relationship, and I was good at that. I would personally get friendly with them, and most of them were very, very friendly with me. They trusted me also. So I think you then build that kind of personal trust-based relationship. Then in a foreign person, in a different country, you have an actual friend who helps you along the way. They will manage some of the difficulties, So I think I learned a lot about myself and about how you again humble, humility, humble, and because you are constantly learning. So yeah, cultural differences, be sensitive to that. And yeah.
So apart from that shadow of your personality, most of people in day-to-day life know you as a famous actor, and especially they admire this your role in Kumyo teledrama. So we would like to know whether you're the same person as in this Kumyo teledrama, Mr. Maldini.
So before I answer that question, I'll also say this. So roles. So what's my role in acting and what's my role in business? The one thing I learned from my acting and music and my arts is storytelling. Because there you're telling a story, you're acting as a character, you're telling the story of that character. So storytelling is very important for a leader as a role, because you have to tell a story. You have to tell a story to employees who want to join you, and say, here's, oh, I like to join you. Then you have to tell a story to your customers. This is what we do, and they buy that story. Then you tell a story to employees who already joined you when difficult times and all that. But most importantly, you tell a story to your shareholders, because sometimes it was so difficult. Hema's thought, we'll cut this business off. At that time, you have to be able to, like I told you, Stephen Enderby, when he said that, I had to tell him a story. Not a baila, not in Sinhala say baila gano, no, not that, real story with facts and that he can believe. So storytelling is the common thing I see between my acting and my arts and my role as a leader. But as a role, as Maldini as a person, I would like to think that I am completely the opposite. Because he was power hungry, I'm not. He used to manipulate people to get the job done, which clearly I'm not. He was ready to kill, like most of our people, our politicians, ready to kill, to stay in power. I certainly am not. So it's not a power trip, being a leader is not a power trip. It's about serving the people. So Maldini was not, he was serving himself, like all our politicians today. They are there to serve themselves first. In the process, they might give some things to the people, but it's not about serving them, no. So in a sense, in my life now, I look to serve the people who are following or whom I'm trying to lead. So yeah, completely different characters.
A purpose-driven leader should be a storyteller, as
Yeah.
you said.
Yes.
And also a leader should serve the followers. So, in the aspect of becoming a social activist, what's your role in Sarvodaya Institute of
Higher learning, yeah. Yeah, so I started that about a year ago after I left Enable. I was wondering what to do with the rest of my life. So I decided I'll dedicate it to, doing, something that's more socially impactful. So, so Sarvodaya Institute of Higher Learning, we went there and this was already there. Then I thought, okay, let's try to find out what is the purpose. So we came up with this purpose for the Sarvodaya Institute of Higher Learning. We said, let this Sarvodaya Institute of Higher Learning serve as a center for training and leadership that's rooted in the community, not the MBA leadership that you all are learning. This is that's important. That's also important. I'm not trying to make fun of it. No. That's a different thing. But this is leadership that's rooted in the community. Prajamulika Nayakatva, as we call it. Rooted in the community for what? To generate solutions for the unprecedented problems that are faced today by humanity and the planet. So in Sinhala we say, Minisat kamasa prithvi gole. Muna dena pera novu iru. Abhiyogyan walata visundum utpadana kirima aramunak sahitava. See, that's a good purpose. Now we can get young people, even people like you can come and be part of that Sarvodaya Institute of Higher Learning. That is the higher learning that we are talking about, not hierarchically higher, O levels, A level, degree, MBA, masters, PhD, no. Higher purpose learning, So that's, as a result of that, I got involved in Sarvodaya also, and there also we came up with an interesting idea about addressing the needs of the community, to create a just, sustainable and compassionate society. Sadharana tirasarasa dayanvita samajakramaya. Compassionate. Care about each other, not only about making money for yourself. So that's what I'm doing now, community-based activities. So I've selected a few villages through the Sarvodaya movement to go there and work there. and see whether we can tell the people, look, you can manage the affairs of your village by yourselves. You don't have to chase behind politicians and that provincial council and this fellow and that fellow. No. We'll manage, we get together, and then we can connect with other villagers, and you create a movement. So you see, then we can now, in that Henaggegota, the village I go to, the Ratnapura district, there is a beautiful village, but they are worried about the environment. People are cutting trees. Now you can't protect only your village, no. Other fellow will come and cut around. So you have to spread that. So we are starting that now. The young people have got very active. But they will very soon come into clash with the fellows who are trying to get political connections. But if the villagers stand firm, they will not try it, because they depend on their votes also. So that's the kind of focus for me today. Community-based development, create a model there and see whether you can extend that model to the rest of the country. And in that process, we are trying to ask young people like you, what is all this for? What is the purpose for you to do MBA and all? Is it only to get a better job and get a better salary? Or are you going to address one of the many problems that we face in this country today? Now take the kidney disease problem. Thousands of our peasants are dying, and at one time this country needed 1,000 dialysis machines. We had only 180. 1,000 dialysis machines would have cost 2 billion. What do? We build a cricket stadium in Surya Valley, 4 billion. Is that okay? Now can you be indifferent to that? The two of you even? Mata wadak naha, mata kidney problem ekak naha. Or can you think, no, I need to do something, or choose any problem. Then only your life also has meaning and a purpose, no? A real purpose. So MBA is good, but also use that to address one of the many problems that we face in this country. Only then can you say that, my life was well lived and my life was worth it.
So, as at the very beginning, we identified you as a diversified character. How will you manage this work-life balance?
This is I think again a mistake that we make. We think of life and work as two different things. It's the same thing, no? Life, it's your life that makes you work. So this work-life balance is a myth that was all created in the last 100 years with industrialization, where people had to go to office and work in factories. So the machines came and they took over our lives. So you're working 10, 12, 13, 14 hours with industrialization. The village people don't work like that. They don't go to the Kumbura and say work-life balance. They have to go and plant and vaga karan hone, viva puran hone, vaga karan. You go to this village, kurundu talan hone, you see, you have to get going. And that is life. That is their life. Then they'll bring the lunch and you'd eat some, tea, have your tea, plain tea or whatever. Then you go home. Then your children are there and you then, but that was a community, not this, your one family living in a small apartment only. So they are the children, were all together. So they played and they came, they saw you, they played on the Kamata, they'll play there, So this is a artificial creation of this capitalist system where they expect you to be working most of your life and then the rest is for whatever you want to use it for. So we have got it all wrong. But if you think of your life as being some meaning, then you decide how much of that you want to give to what you call work, where you're selling your labor for a wage, and how much you want to keep for yourself. But if you, from the day you start, if you think next year I have to build a house, then I'm getting married, I have to spend 2 million, I have to have a big reception at the Hilton, then you won't have any, but what for? You say, what the hell, man, I'm getting married, I'll have 50 people. And parents also want to invite everybody and this and that. And so you're starting life with a debt. Then you have to work. Like an idiot, you'll be working the rest of your life. That's what one fellow said, your career is not your life. He said, otherwise you're panned, you're working, and then you just, like a dog, you pant 3 times and you drop dead. Is that what you want out of your life? That's a choice you make. Yeah. So I hope you all have a better life, and work is just part of life. and not place too much emphasis on career. Careers, you will find your career. I never chose a career. I let my life go on different paths, but I made it meaningful, put everything into it. So like I said, think of what you will remember. 30 seconds if you are left before you breathe your last, what will you remember? You are not going to think of your MBA result, no? Or Travis or myself or you will think now, they do something for the betterment of other people. Then if you have done something, you can close your eyes and say, my life was well lived and my life was really worth it. So, and saying that, I wish you all the best, and I hope you'll have a good life for yourself and also make a contribution to the betterment of our society and our people. Thank you.